Hey everybody, we're back on Main Street in Wellsville, Ohio. Why? Because of my friend Frank DeLeo and the significance of this day, August the 29th, Michael Jackson's birthday. Now, Frank DeLeo, who was he? He was a young kid that grew up in Pittsburgh. He played football at Central Catholic, and he went on to have an amazing career. Yeah, record producer, managed some of the biggest names in showbiz, including Michael Jackson, at the height of his career. You know, back in the early 80s, there was the boss, the great Bruce Springsteen, who was filling up stadiums across this country, but the king of pop, Michael Jackson, was doing the same thing. And Frank DeLeo was guiding his tour. You know, when I first met Frankie DeLeo in the late 80s here in Eastern Ohio, I'll never forget, I ran into him in a local department store, and he had the most incredibly manicured fingers, an incredible tan, a pinky ring to die for, and a camel-haired coat that was slight tan in color to match that incredible tan, and he just literally had swagger like I had never seen before. So a few years later, somehow, some way, he ends up, because of his beautiful bride, living in Wellsville, Ohio, and he and I reconnected. And for the years that we spent together, some of the best conversations we had were about Wellsville, Ohio, and Nick's Pizza, where I am right now. And over we would talk about hometown in Pittsburgh and Eastern Ohio, but we would also talk about my career and where I was headed and what I was going to do. And he had such belief in me that every time he wanted to put me on the launching pad, I kept saying, no, I'm content where I'm at, Frankie, thank you. But guess what? Frankie's gone now, and I think about him all the time, especially when I come to Wellsville. And I know he would be saying to me, as he was always saying then, well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Well, I'm going to take time to pay tribute to a guy he had a lot of respect for, as I did, the great Michael Jackson. Truly one of the most iconic entertainers ever. And they're both gone now, and it's very sad. But I can remember the conversations that I would have with him when he was in California, staying at the home of Mr. and Mrs. Jackson. And of course, he had love for Janet Jackson and all of the brothers. But we would talk about that family from Gary, Indiana. And even though they went to the stratosphere, how they were still just a family, familia. And that's what Wellsville's all about. So I just thought today, on this significant day, because Frankie would have wanted me to, say happy birthday to Michael Jackson. And know this, to Mr. DeLeo's family, there is not a day that whenever I'm thinking entertainment that I don't think about him. I mean, the guy starred in Goodfellas, Wayne's World, had an incredible career, and he was as significant in entertainment as Colonel Parker was to Elvis. That's Frankie DeLeo. That's the power of the big man. Folks, from Frankie DeLeo's adopted hometown, it's your Pratte Pack. Good night.